Hi, welcome to Stories of Mind, Solutions for Living. Today we are discussing why good boundaries deflect narcissists and even sociopaths. If you've ever had to work with or live with a narcissist, or worse, a sociopath, you'll know what a confusing, painful and undermining experience that can be at the very least. Narcissists and sociopaths employ an interesting and for them very important tactic in their first interactions in new social or work settings. This tactic involves a subtle or not so subtle probing of everyone's boundaries, looking for weak spots, and in particular the boundaries of the people who are most powerful within the group, and of those who can meet their needs. There are two types of boundaries they are particularly focused on: your boundaries around your behaviour, that is, your codes of conduct around your drinking, drug use, sex, money, the law, fairness, etc., and your boundaries around other people's behaviour. Where do you draw the line? At the same time, they are gauging your sympathy levels and how empathic you are, and how much you want to be known and liked for those traits. For narcissists and sociopaths, the most effective tool they can use against you is the one thing they don't possess: your ability to sympathise and empathise, and therefore forgive and allow someone a second chance. For them, this sympathy and empathy stuff is entirely superfluous, illogical, and easily manipulated. It is the chink in most people's armour. There are other chinks: greed, an attachment to reputation, uncertainty, insecurity. Once they have estimated the strength of each person's boundaries and the potential weak points, they will begin to work on the people they feel are most susceptible. In other words, the people they can most easily manipulate into meeting their needs and goals in that setting, for shelter, food, sex, power, service. They begin by tempting or persuading you to break your own code of behaviour in some small way, while teaching you an acceptable justification, or by persuading you to break your boundaries regarding their behaviour, and to forgive them or to excuse or justify their behaviour, so that the result is you shift your boundary. This is most easily achieved by an appeal to your sympathy and empathy, either by presenting their action as beyond their control and appealing to your sympathy, or by pointing out how easily you might have done the same thing and appealing to your empathy. It's always about getting you to give them that second chance. If you regard yourself as a kind, understanding, non-judgmental person, they will also use that against you, implying you are none of those things if you can't forgive their common human tendency to error. Then, quite quickly, they will also condition you not to challenge their behaviours by responding with rage or evasiveness and lies, or a sob story or threats when you confront them or question them. Over time, you'll find yourself doing things or putting up with situations that you really don't want. And if you ask the narcissist for help, expect this. How to guard against this type of manipulation? The problem is, you may not want to become hard and cynical with everyone. You probably want to have sympathy for those who warrant it, but recognise when you're being manipulated and respond accordingly. Good boundaries are the one thing that deflect narcissists and sociopaths from the very beginning, when they are first probing for susceptible people. Narcissists are looking for people with fuzzy boundaries, shifting boundaries, intermittent boundaries, not strong, sure, certain boundaries. Good, strong boundaries have several different aspects. They need to stand over time, they need to be discriminating, they need to automatically reject people whose values don't align with yours, or whose actions or words cause you to feel used or exploited or unappreciated, and provide easy entry for people whose values you share. When you have good boundaries, you can slow down and take the time to observe someone's actions, to see if they repeatedly disrespect yours or others' boundaries, and decide whether they are really trustworthy or not. We are not born knowing the complexities of boundaries. It is something we have to learn. Some people who have good boundaries have learned through suffering and experience how to apply them. Others have learned from observing people with good boundaries. But for most of us, It's been a pretty hit and miss process, and we aren't as good at them as we need to or like to be. If you don't have good boundaries, you are wide open to being exploited, used, undervalued, and manipulated. It feels horrible, and you might feel powerless to change things. That's why we created the video Understanding Boundaries, covering every aspect of boundaries, including processes and strategies not covered elsewhere. After watching it, you'll know exactly how to set up your boundaries and how to maintain them. You'll recognize the way people try to get around your boundaries and what to do about it. You'll also gain some very nice side effects, like self-esteem and assertiveness and respect. This is an in-depth, highly developed exploration of a fundamentally necessary tool, good boundaries. They are quite simply imperative in our increasingly narcissistic world. Designed by a psychologist, the video Understanding Boundaries can literally change your life. Thanks so much for spending time with us today. Brought to you by Stories of Mind, Solutions for Living.